Hey, this is the Nature Boy Rick Flair, and believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence, the king of podcasts radio network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Welcome to episode 782 of the Wrestling is Real podcast. This is King of Podcasts, and of course, you find the show every week, WrestlingIsReal.com, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and Google. It's all in one place. Remember, please rate and review Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and also check out the YouTube channel at King of Podcasts. And everything is you can find about the show is at WrestlingIsReal.com. Make sure to go and check that out. There's a lot to go into. We already did quite a bit of work over the weekend. We had MLW's Never Say Never, where Alex Kane became the new MLW World Heavyweight Champion, the 6th of the reign in the current era, and I believe the 10th overall in the major league. So that happened this weekend. If you didn't catch that, I did do a post show. WrestlingIsReal.com. Go ahead and look for it. And thank you for all those fans that checked out the show and listened in this week, and you found it over the weekend. I also took some time to talk about the trial of Roman Reigns. We talked about that. But right now, where we look at things, the trial of Roman Reigns, where do things go with that? We don't know where that is supposed to be coming up next. That's one of the things we want to go look at next. And I want to figure out as well, because with the fact that Roman Reigns was able to go ahead and get his comeuppance after what happened at Money in the Bank with a low blow, getting that low blow again onto Jey Uso after what happened in the Bloodline Civil War. So the continuation of this fantastic Bloodline storyline, which, by the way, on Saturday, as I talked about it, I made the point and said that this storyline is better than the NWO. If you had to mark the NWO storyline from July 7th, 1996 at Bash at the Beach to Starrcade 98, which is honestly the true storyline that was at its peak. The best of the NWO was right there. Not so much the Wolfpack. It was fine, but it was just, they were just kind of just trying to recreate gold again. But right here, you got a lot of young stars, and they're trying to go and move along this. That's just incredible. So that's what we got. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's been said anyway. And you just got to look at what's going on here, and so much that's going on with all the things that are going on. There's a lot of things happening when it comes to AEW. There are TV extension negotiations right now. We have that going on. And then there's more to it where Raw and SmackDown holding on ratings. What is being done now in lead up to SummerSlam? August 5th, Detroit's Ford Field. No matches announced as of yet, but we got to get that stirred up and going. Of course, there's some things that can get ready to go, but at the moment, nothing on the card yet, which is interesting. But we could see they could go in a couple different directions for the Bloodline Civil War, what they could do with Judgment Day and what they're going to do with that. Like, let's look at what they've already done so far when it comes to setting things up. All we got is what we got on SmackDown with that, the sandwiching in of the Bloodline over 30 minutes plus. And then we get into what we want to find out that came up on Raw on Monday night. And what we got from that, we could say this. So we know we had Finn Balor, Damian Priest at odds with each other. That was created at the start of the night. Seth Rollins comes out. The setup with Rhea Ripley and Dirty Dom works so well. What a great chemistry within those two. And then Rhea Ripley has to play mediator, telling Damian Priest and him to grow up, start acting like men, and squash everything. Drew McIntyre, Riddle, the whole Imperium storyline right there. They're off to their own program. Seth and Dom take on each other. Then you set up for a later match, which is the Vince McMahon modus operandi. Let's just create a 6-man tag later on. That's the part I kind of figure would be happening. So if you want to say anything that actually happened here, is happening, yes, that's totally obvious. Logan Paul and Ricochet, of all people, at each other. I don't understand that part. That I don't get. So we're going to get Logan Paul and Ricochet. Is this Logan Paul asking to work with Ricochet? Ricochet's being brought and elevated into a level to work with Logan Paul. I don't understand where that comes from. We know he set things up at Money in the Bank, but are we really going to go there? When I thought the obvious spot to go was LA Knight. I don't understand why he's not in this. But, hey, LA Knight doesn't have a storyline. He doesn't have a program. But everybody thinks he should be up here somewhere in some kind of shape or form. But as we've talked about, then we continue on with Alpha Academy. Viking Raiders, they continue along with that. Shayna and Ronda are at each other. We could set things up for SummerSlam for that. And Cody wants to challenge Brock Lesnar, but the challenge has not been accepted yet. And then they set up a Miz and Tommaso Ciampa no DQ match, right? Miz wins. And now Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green are the latest contenders against Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan for the women's tag team titles. And then out of the 6-man tag at the end of the night, Priest gave Sami Zayn the South of Heaven. Dominic gave Zayn the coup de grace and pinned him. And Priest and Balor did hug after the match. So everything is still, copacetic between those two. So they're going to come back and stir the pot again with those two anyway. That's got a couple weeks. We can see what they're going to do with that. So LA Knight I want to bring up now. This is something that's interesting here where Kevin Nash was on his Click This podcast, and he talked about the heat that LA Knight's getting right now, that he's knocking off The Rock. So I want to take this because I heard this, and I actually heard Conan and Disco Inferno talk about this on Keeping It 100. So let's talk about what he said. Because like I said, I'm one of those people with LA Knight. I don't have a problem with him. Listen, but I don't see the benefit of what he gets to be over right now because he has not been given any storyline. There's no natural progression for him. He's never won a title in this company. He's never won a title. And you understand, he might be one of those people that will never win a title in this company. Meanwhile, Impact Wrestling, he did. Didn't win the World Heavyweight title, but he challenged for it. So let's go into this right now. Kevin Nash talks about this, and he says, quote, "There's so many people that agree that LA Knight is doing the Rock Austin thing. I mean, the guy's been in the business for like 10 years. I mean, why didn't he get over anywhere else? Well, he's been around 20. I know that. He was about longer than that. It was 2004, I think it was. Quote, I've always said if you're not over in 3 years, it's just probably not going to probably happen. I would go down to NXT and I'd ask a guy, how long you been here? He would be like 4 years, 5 years. This is before NXT had its own show. These guys were in development for 3, 4, 5 years. So he's talking about Florida Championship Wrestling, basically. And there were guys like that. Listen, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, Heath Slater. There were a lot of guys down there waiting for the way to get up there. Husky Harris, the same way. They were all down there for a long time. They had some good matches and stuff. The show was good to have them on there. Bo Rotundo, remember? But a lot of guys would be down there, and we would just be waiting and waiting and waiting. But they would take so long to have some development to get themselves up to where they are now. But remember, with WWE, they're not going to develop anybody fast. They want the long, steady, slow progression. And LA Knight's only been in front of the ether for about a year, in front of the main roster. Not even that yet. So for people to expect that the crowd's going to get the response to him, and he's just going to be given, oh, here comes the U.S. title. Here's an IC title. You're going to beat Gunther. You're going to beat Austin Theory. No, that's not going to happen. They haven't given that any kind of thought. Like LA Knight is just out there. He gets a pop, but for what else? Why are you getting behind the guy when you know the company's not going to be behind him? So Nash goes on and says, I've never seen the guy work. I just said what I said. But then when I thought about it after the show was over, anytime you bash one of the boys, I don't know him, but he's still one of the boys. Anytime you bash him, the worst case scenario is that somebody will say I bashed him, and then if he's over, the people will be like, we like him anyway. And they'll push him harder. Like, well, we'll show you. And the people will get with him more. Somebody said, like, once again, these old wrestlers are holding. We're holding them down as much as we're sitting in your fucking living room getting them pushed. I know you think you guys count. You don't, okay? All I do know is when I was asked to pick somebody, I said Damian Priest and Io, and behold, who won Money in the Bank? I guess I'm not as out of it as it appears. Right. As I said myself, I looked at, for Money in the Bank, I did say Damian Priest. And Io Sky, yeah, she was one of them. So the obvious choices, yeah. But you guys think we're going to get something else on anything, but we're not. Now, so I say to myself, all right, Nash goes on. I've taken the backlash of talking about this guy impersonating The Rock, and I said, let me watch him. I watched him for 3 fucking hours. He's not on the show. I swear Seth freaking Rollins wrestled 13 times. Damian Priest was on it 11. Like, they had so many people that made 4 or 5 appearances, and this guy that's super over isn't on the show. Yeah, because he's on SmackDown. But I get the part. But as I said, people want to go ahead and say the fact that Kevin Nash was out of context. Yeah, he was. That's okay. He's a casual watcher now. He doesn't get into the product as much because it's not as good as when he was in it. Right? I get that. But for him, it doesn't matter. But there is an outcry right there for LA Knight that we need to go ahead and bring people back to reality. I did this 3 weeks ago. I talked about LA Knight for 40 minutes of the program. And I made the case. Did we see anything he's done right now where there was a storyline where they're kind of gotten really something out of it? When it came off the back of him coming to the main roster, the NXT run, what do we remember? Cameron Grimes and the $1 Million Belt. Or no, that was after that. It was kind of part of that. What else? After that, LA Knight comes on to the main roster. He's given Bray Wyatt. Now, it's a difficult challenge, of course, but what else do you expect? Do you think he's going to be able to go make it happen? Can he actually pull through and get a good match out of Bray Wyatt? And yes, he was crushed with that pitch black match, the Mountain Dew match at Royal Rumble. And that was 6 months ago. But people don't want to talk about that. That's the biggest exposure possible. So LA Knight was not involved in WrestleMania storylines. If he could have had something of a better showing or something better coming out of that horrible storyline of him seeing Bray Wyatt and all these other things, trying to act like, yeah, nothing's wrong. You just can't take your old gimmick from Impact Wrestling or from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood or from wherever and expect it to go the same way. Because it is going to be perceived as LA Knight acting like The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin, because he is. Now, that's okay. Disco Inferno makes the case and says, hey, well, he's doing that because why not? If he's trying to get himself over, he needs to be able to go ahead and why not use the same stuff that everybody else used? Okay, it's just like with Ric Flair. People like to use Ric Flair as part of the storyline. We get it. And that's going to happen too. Everybody's going to copy everybody. We know that. That's normal. But the part that has to be understood is not about the promo cutting. Because the truth was, you might not have liked Max Dupree, but the idea of him as a manager was actually a good idea. Now, I know people don't want to think that. Nobody wants to hear that, but that's exactly the case. He's a talker. His matches are fine. But he's 40 years old. What else are you going to see him progress in his career? He's been here, and he's come in and come out. His run of wrestling and success came in Impact Wrestling. That's it. And Championship for Wrestling from Hollywood and wherever else he went. But honestly, the exposure that got him into the company was in Impact Wrestling. Period. But now LA Knight is here. He can talk. And the idea that Vince or whoever decided to go and put him in the Maximum Male Models, well, they put him in that role. He wasn't going to be a model, okay? Let me put it to you like this. You could have let that guy talk promos over anything. You could have made him anything else. Just because of the fact it's the male model's part, okay? Was it bad for him to be with with Maxine Dupree? Probably not. But a little bit of overshadowing. Like, they brought her in, and it's like, we don't know what she's supposed to be in here for, but okay, fine. But then you look here and you're saying to yourself, all right, if that's the case here, then what else are we doing here, right? I'm trying to figure this all out. So you were going to make it where it's a brother-sister deal in the Maximum Male Models, and she was director of talent. And Max Dupree being set up in the role here wasn't a bad spot for him. Listen, because you don't know where the storyline could have gone and if things could have gone forward. But look, Mansoor, yeah, those guys were not going to do anything in that role. Like the two guys they had that were going to be performing under Maximum Male Models were jokes. But the idea of LA Knight as a manager would have been good. You might not want to say that, but that's just what it is. Okay, he's going to be 41 years old November 1st. It's not as if he can't keep wrestling, but remember, this guy's been out there since 2003. He's been 20 years in the space. What else is he going to accomplish? Do you expect him to ever become World Heavyweight Champion? Do you expect him to become Universal Champion? If he's not going to be either one of those things, at this point of his career, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just take a role. Be a manager. So split off from the Maximum Male Models. Become somebody's manager. We need more managers anyway. And if the guy can talk, why not? Because let me tell you, if you put him out there as a heel manager, he would surpass what MVP was doing it's been doing with Omos, right? He's not going to be Paul Heyman good, but he's going to be secondary. He's actually going to be okay. I think you could have done that with him, and you could have put him with some tag teams, or you could have put him up with somebody else as a star that needed a push. Because the thing is, he should take somebody young and bring him up. But nobody wants to think that. That's the problem. It's like, okay, you don't want to go for that LA Knight because they're giving autonomy back there. Okay. You're just going to say, all right, well, it's like, anybody that's not in the Bloodline storyline or not part of a faction, they're just going to go on and say, well, Triple H, I want to do my own thing. Okay, we'll do your own thing, kid. And what happens? We have some of these stars that have gone into their original personas. They're basically the indie version of their persona. That's what they did. Tommaso Ciampa, not much difference with him. And they just, I don't get it. Like him being the stooge with NXT and with Miz, I didn't get that part much anyway. So what are you going to do? Okay, you're going to put Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano together, DIY. So you put the team together. So they get to work together. What else? Are they going to be tag team champions? Are they going to beat Usos? No. Are they going to beat Zayn and Owens? No. And I'm not talking about the belts. I'm just talking about the top two tag teams right now. Are they going to beat anybody that's up in that division? So what are we going to DIY and Alpha Academy, DIY and Street Profits, DIY and Viking Raiders? DIY on Imperium? Is that really challenging? Is that anything special? No. Tommaso Ciampa is the role he's in right now. But you know when he was great? When he had a character, when he had a gimmick. And Ring of Honor, the Embassy, Prince Nana, the Sicilian Psychopath, and he acted as such. They've taken that away from him. Tommaso Ciampa is just now Ciampa. He doesn't have the gimmick with Goldie and all this stuff. He's not going to get to do that in NXT. So you're taking away part of his persona. What else has he got? Gargano had the way, bunch of stooges around him, right? And look at all them. Indy Hartwell, Dexter Lumis, Candice LeRae. They are irrelevant in this company. And Johnny Gargano was not getting a response. There's a problem right there. That's 4 people right there, blown with hit row, that do not need to be here. But God bless them. Listen. I'm not talking there's not talent. Of course not. But we're talking about the level that needs to make the cut in WWE. But the problem is the fans want to go ahead and just change the stigma, change the climate of talent that's in WWE. They think, oh, we're just going to get these kind of guys. Like what NXT does, that should be what the WWE is. No, you can't change it. You're not going to just change the culture of 50 years in that brand of what they've been doing. Okay? Not going to happen. 40 years with Vince. It's just not going to be that way. So I don't know what you're expecting to go ahead and do. But Vince's vision will continue to be what it is. And Triple H is going to be somewhat stuck into doing Vince's vision. Because let me tell you, for all the mistakes they might do, look, Judgment Day has been money. All right? What they've done with Bloodline has been superb. It is excellent. It is masterful storytelling in wrestling of all. No one else has that. And I'm telling you this too, with AEW, I feel like they're trying to do something massive with the Don Callis family. Mark my words. If there's something they're trying to get over that's going to be a big storyline, a big arc of everything, it's the Don Callis family. That I believe is to be true. Because they could take on the Elite. They could take on, they had the issues, the alliance with Blackpool Combat Club, and there are other factions that can also deal with this as well. The Don Callis family is going to be something big. I expect it. Okay? Takeshita, Pac, some pretty good names right there. And there are others coming in. Blood and Guts looks fantastic. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But when I look at the storylines right now, and listen, they got some things in WWE that are working well. Seth Rollins is over. But he is the consolation. I got to take a story real quick that talks about Seth Rollins about that. He was interviewed on Out of Character with Ryan Satin. And one of the things he was asked about was the World Heavyweight title. So now he's asked about, talking about crowds still singing after his music ends. Got it. Logan, KSI and Bad Bunny, talked about that. His wardrobe. And now here's the thing I want to get from him. But of course, Seth Rollins is a company guy. So I want to see how he's going to handle it. He's not going to weasel around this. But he'll give something up here. But I'm sure when he does this, it's a very valid argument. And he's going to make a point where it's going to sound as good as you can get. So here's what we got. On people calling his championship a consolation title, that's what Ryan Satin asked him. Quote, I understand where people are coming from. There's no real or right when it comes to what is your opinion on doing it. But I'm a firm believer that it was a necessity, regardless of how you felt about it. He's right. As long as Roman's holding that belt, the Universal title, they're not going to take it off of him. Listen, the Bloodline storyline right now, people are forgetting the fact he's still champion. Not the fact he's champion, but the fact that he's not defending that belt. He hasn't defended that belt since what? WrestleMania? Right? Has he defended it since Cody? No. Not against anybody. Keep that in mind. But that you can get away with. That's an exception. With Roman Reigns, you can absolutely do that right now. So let's get back to Seth. I wasn't offended. I wasn't annoyed or anything like that. If you've watched and followed and saw how Roman has built up that title that he has, it only makes sense, I guess, for you to use the word consolation prize. But I didn't feel that way. It felt like a big deal. And like I said, it felt like a big deal because there are so many guys who will be able to be in the shoes that I'm in right now. And they showed that with the title tournament. I just think they rushed it, but I get they had to do it. But the tournament was done. That's fine. They set it up and sets the champion for a righteously and justifiably so. I feel a lot of responsibility to represent them and the industry as well as I can and help everything kind of move forward. It feels sometimes with Roman's title reigns that because there's really only one challenger at a time and often only every few months, then we're in a bit of a holding pattern. A lot of guys were in a holding pattern. So like I said, I'm a firm believer that a title available was a necessity. I feel a lot of humility and responsibility in being the champion that will be there and be available for our audience. So I wasn't offended and I totally understood where people were coming from. Solid answer. It's not it's not an explanation. He can't just say, no, it is a secondary belt, but it is a consolation title. I called it that. I also called it that. But it's not the fault of Seth Rollins and the others not getting the spot. Listen, Seth Rollins has been built up well enough, and Cody Rhodes has been built up well enough where they are absolutely valid contenders for Roman Reigns. And Brock Lesnar, if you want to bring it in there too. So they're all right there. You can do that. But at the moment, the excuse isn't anymore, well, why isn't Roman defending? We don't have that excuse right now. It doesn't matter. Because they have created a storyline so compelling, so powerful, so entertaining, so emotional in some cases, that when you're watching the storyline, it's the family part. You can't add in a championship bout as this is going on. It's just not going to happen right now. But as they're going to probably do something with the belt anyway, some people are saying that Jey Uso is going to go ahead and confront and take on Roman Reigns again, like he did in 2020. You could do that, but that's the word has been talked about, but we got to find out how we're going to get there. We don't know that answer yet because the storyline is just going on right now. Roman Reigns is being put on trial. They were going to try to excommunicate him as tribal chief, but it doesn't matter because it screwed everything over. And Solo Sikoa has proven to have loyalty, acknowledging the tribal chief. You already had the tag team match. Great. So you have a singles match here and Roman against Jey with the title on the line. Maybe the tribal chief, the appointment of the tribal chief, you know, the monarchy or whatever, the title and the stature and the responsibility as the tribal chief goes to Jey Uso if he wins. But I think you could do a stipulation. Now, here's what has to happen. I think with Jey Uso, the Usos would have to put something up in the stipulation for Roman Reigns to give the match. Well, that's what has to happen here, I think. So Roman will put the title and the tribal chief status on the line, right? The wreath, the belt. And then the Usos must give up something. My guess is they're out of the bloodline forever. They're out of the WWE forever. Like you do it, it's an exit. I don't know what it is, but I think that's what you could do. You have to create a stipulation here where there's something that happens where they're done. And what you could do is Roman Reigns can continue somehow. And if the Usos are out and they somehow find a way back in, I don't know, there's something you could do here. But I think a stipulation match to create Roman Reigns to Uso has to happen. SmackDown, we have to just figure out what they're going to do from there. How they're going to make that happen, I don't know. But I am like, wow, this is like really wild. I don't know what they're going to do to make that possible. SmackDown's Friday, we'll find out. I'm looking forward to it. So now, we got Seth Rollins saying what he said. And I understand where they're coming from with that. That's fine. And then we look at the fact that, okay, besides what they're doing on SmackDown with what was set up, with what they did, SmackDown itself, we talked about Karrion Kross getting hurt. I talked about that on Saturday. Sheamus and Theory having a match for the U.S. title, and Austin Theory continues to be strong. They fed him Sheamus. He's strong once again. Edge on the Grayson Waller effect. And I'm sorry, it's not coming up. And now Edge against Grayson Waller. I mean, why is Grayson Waller getting this kind of play? He's not getting over. I don't think so anyway. AJ Styles and Karrion Kross. And as we said, Kross got hurt, it looks like. Styles wins. Clean pin on Kross. Done. Asuka comes out. Bianca Belair. And they confront. Charlotte Flair comes out. So are we getting a triple threat now for the... What is it now? The women's world title? Or the WWE Women's Championship, right? Because Asuka's the women's champion. And Rhea Ripley's the women's world champion, right? It's always going to confuse me a little bit anyway. And then you're set up. They just put who were the possible contenders. So Bianca, Asuka, Charlotte. Then Io Sky coming with a briefcase. And then Bayley trying to sabotage. Bayley trying to go and help out Io to get the briefcase cashed in. So whatever, Bayley's now like behooving to Asuka, right? Or behooving to Io Sky because she has the briefcase. They haven't really made much of that yet. Edge wins over Grayson Waller. But like I said, nobody else is thinking about anything else what was going on SmackDown except for the Bloodline. And what comes to everything else, that's where we're at. So what else do you go with now? With SummerSlam coming up, I don't know. And by the way, Carmelo Hayes, let's put this on as well. They went ahead and went down to NXT, which is another thing I feel that it's kind of weird because you're bringing Judgment out there and having the extra exposure on them. 631,000 viewers. They got a nice bump in ratings, but they were brought down there because nothing else really is going to bring the ratings for them. Last week, 508,000 viewers. And you're bringing in new people with Lucian Price, and when you look at the card and the people that had on that were doing things on here, right? Oof. Corey Jade, I feel like whatever sparked this with her, I guess they think she's the next AJ Lee. That's why I always feel like that she is with her. Joe Coffey, whatever. Stax Lorenzo, the Tony D'Angelo storyline. Oof. Tiffany Stratton, who I think is absolutely somebody's going to be brought up to that main roster sooner than later. Andre Chase and Duke Hudson, where they've kind of let on that storyline where Duke Hudson's attached to Chase U. I just don't care. Duke Hudson was like the gambler at one point. Now he's here doing this. And there's nothing going on with it. And then Judgment Day and Carmelo Hayes. Like, all right. And Judgment Day stands tall. Carmelo Hayes looks like trash. Because being an NXT, done. So, I mean, Carmelo Hayes, does anybody think they're going to have any kind of seriousness with him? And then also, Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov. Listen, I know Dragunov is very good. But when you look at the size difference, and you see him trying to pick up Braun Breaker, and it's like, Braun Breaker's supposed to be the bigger guy on a conventional match. You don't see Braun Breaker struggling with Ilya Dragunov because of the size difference. That's part of the thing I look at right here now. And by the way, when it comes to NXT, they did the rebranding, right? The Rainbow brand. What has happened since then? Well, WWE tried it. 770,000 viewers. Had some interest. It waned down. Halloween Havoc bumped the rating. Still around 600,000 viewers till November. 570 to 620,000, 630,000. Bump up during WrestleMania time. WrestleMania season from January. And then you go across and okay. Then they had, what was it, the Olympics? And then Sci-Fi took the audience and they had to move it over. Whatever. 600,000 viewers all the way up to WrestleMania time. Drops down after WrestleMania. This is 2022, by the way. And like I said, 550, 530, 650,000 for if they have like some big money show or whatever. And that's about it. Once in a while, they could pop 700,000 viewers. That's about it. But for the most part, we get towards the latter part of this year, after WrestleMania, after Stand and Deliver, people didn't like it. 620,000 viewers for the go home for Stand and Deliver. And then what happened since? They've broken 600,000 for the spring breaking special. And they broke it for the post show for Battleground. That's it. Oh, and they had a little bit the week after that. But remember, Seth Rollins popped the rating. Judgment Day popped the rating. But NXT is not getting any groundswell at all. Nothing whatsoever. That is a huge problem right now. So there's no answer to this. NXT and developmental is not getting any kind of real support at the moment. To see Judgment Day go up against, in the Performance Center with 500 people in there, that doesn't look good. So NXT is not delivering any real significant stars. Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes are going to be flat on arrival once they make it to that main roster. So don't expect any young stars to be doing anything special or different right now. They're going to have a slow progression. All of them are. Tiffany Stratton, I think, will move up pretty quickly when she moves to the main roster because there's just an appeal to look to her. I mean, they just can't help themselves. Bunch of horny guys over there in Stanford that will just go ahead and put her up front and center because she's going to look great on camera. And the attitude, the whole gimmick is set to go for her to go up there now. I want to take one of the story that came up here from Bleacher Report, which I think is kind of interesting. Now, I don't want to be the one that talks about Undertaker saving Michelle McCool from a shark attack. You know, you can read all about that all you want. But there's a story that came out from Bleacher Report, 4 reasons why WWE is hotter than it was during the Attitude Era. So I wanted somebody to give me, okay, what can I say right now is the reason why, if things are getting better than before. Let's put it like this. I believe it is right now. I think they've created the Attitude Era again. It's not the kind of way it was before where everybody was watching on TV and 7-8 million people per night were watching. No. But Triple H, to his credit, has created things where we have things to chant for, the reasons for people to go ahead and get off their seats and do something. You've created reasons to go to the house shows. You want to boo Dominic Mysterio like Vicky Guerrero. You want to chant Seth Rollins' whoa, Cody's whoa. You want to do that. You want to be out there for Roman Reigns and put your 1 in the air. Put your index finger, your digit up in the air and acknowledge the tribal chief. You want to do that. You want to go whoa with Sami Zayn's music when he comes out. Okay? You want to do all that. You want to chant mommy for Rhea Ripley. You want all that. So people have a reason to go. Now, Dave Meltzer talks about this on Wrestling Observer Radio. Quote, attendance is way up. It's been big on cable, even in the Attitude Era when it was big on cable. It wasn't even beating the top network shows. It wasn't even close. But now, I mean, it is. It's crazy. And people want to say somehow this isn't hot. It is so hot. The hottest wrestling's been since 2001. That's 22 years. And people may look and go, oh, they were doing 3 million viewers not that many years ago. Although TV's changed. Correct. We can look at social media numbers and see that there are a number of times where you look at anything Bloodline, they're getting 1 million views. Millions of views, no problem. And that's across all their social media as well. They certainly weren't doing these crowds on a regular basis like they are now. The crowds for the quarter will be some of the highest in many years. And so many other things when you look at them. Remember, Attitude Era, how many times did they go to a big arena? They weren't doing that in the pay-per-view eras in the Attitude Era. Now, you want to sell out, you want to sell out Allegiant Stadium? Go right ahead. You can do it. You want to sell out Ford Field? Go right ahead. You want to sell out Tottenham's Hotspur Stadium in Cardiff, Wales? Go for it. Saudi Arabia? No problem. Minute Maid Field? No problem. St. Louis? No problem. They're doing it. They're selling out. But, Puerto Rico? Sell out. They're doing it, man. They certainly weren't doing these crowds on a regular basis. The crowds, as we said, not in the Attitude Era, not in the Hulk Hogan era, never as high as it is now. Roman is the catalyst. Cody Rhodes has been doing great on Raw, no doubt about it. Roman, he's been great since he went heel, and it's been building and everything like that. And even when you look back 6 months ago, it's gone way up since 6 months ago. So we look at the answers as to why it is. They talk about the masters of the spectacle, and this is Eric Beeston that rates about this, right? Premium live events in the big stadiums, right? Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series are in big-ass stadiums. Money in the Bank, Clash of the Castle, the Saudi Arabia shows, they got a must-see feeling. The cards are stacked, crowds are bigger, heat is off the charts. Listen, Backlash will be such an afterthought in WrestleMania, but Backlash Puerto Rico was ridiculous. Okay? The damn crowd in Puerto Rico going off the Bad Bunny's Chambea, brother. Let me tell you, that was like incredible. And then you want to bring Logan Paul out. You want to bring Bad Bunny out. You want to bring some other people and just you create the environment. Young celebrity and the cool factor. So Logan Paul being involved. There you go. Some of the involvement used to always be, Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey. But now the involvement's different. The enter the company are genuine mainstream stars, not relegated to promo segments or one big time match. They're actually doing things. Logan Paul, Bad Bunny has stepped up the bar in here, and they're not just getting out there stinking it up. They're fucking rolling. Logan Paul and Bad Bunny have given us very good matches. Logan Paul is impressive. He's a piece of shit as a person, most likely, but he can wrestle. He's doing very well. He's got the good scumbag image to go out there and do it. Okay, that's all there is to it. Right now, we have a new song from the album Pink Tape by Little Uzi Vert, Nakamura. It's a tribute to Shinsuke Nakamura's music, and even he is an afterthought on WWE. But Shinsuke Nakamura comes out to that music and whoa, everyone has to chant. It's like hooliganism over there. They figured it out. They figured it, and you don't even have to worry about like anything of the promos or the chants and all this shit. They don't have to worry about that. You're just bringing out the music, the entrance music, and everybody wants to go ahead and do something with an entrance. And they're getting engaged. Audience engagement. Oh my God, wow. There are taglines and catchphrases and all this shit, and they're building it up. Uzi, Mommy, Dirty Dom, right? They're getting it all figured out. They're figuring it all out, man. It's great. So now Nakamura is one of the songs on that album right now, and it's sampling Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance theme. All the stuff they're doing with, like, they're sending out belts to different stars or different, champions of sports leagues, right? All this stuff. Bad Bunny was the company's biggest merchandise seller at Backlash, according to Brandon Thurston at WrestleNomics. And both the event and the SmackDown that preceded it were consecutive $1 million gains for WWE in Puerto Rico. Incredible. And it was a young crowd for that product. Young damn crowd. Cody Rhodes coming back. Other emotional stories to invest in. Another great component. Cody Rhodes coming back, and the way they built him up, he is such a star right now. What do you want to talk about? Everybody is in. They're all in for Cody Rhodes, and he's been booked amazing. He is such a strong babyface, and the fact that he's not even a title holder is incredible. But he's getting John Cena level. And by the way, you get John Cena all of a sudden. Let's get him out there in London and Money in the Bank. Again, with the Bloodline Civil War and everything else that's going on, the crowd, wild. People are seeing it, man. And then Roman Reigns, the draw, the biggest draw right now. One of the greatest runs, as Eric Beeston says here, in the history of the company. One of the best superstar runs. This is Bruno Sammartino strong. Hulk Hogan strong. John Cena strong. The genius of having him hold the belt for 1,000 days. Okay? Coming up on 3 years. A Bob Backlund type of run. This is the shit that works. It's an old school thing, but man, it works. And when you got that, people are looking for the day at a WrestleMania when Roman Reigns drops that belt. And that will be cataclysmic. That'll be incredible. What a moment we will have as a payoff. He's the centerpiece of the WWE Universe, instrumental in enhancing the stars of the Usos, Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes. Let me tell you, Solo Sikoa, that guy's gonna be a big star after all this, man. He's young too, man. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, solid. Cody Rhodes, I mean, he was already gonna be a big star, but you attached him to the Bloodline. You attached him to Roman Reigns. You attached him to Brock Lesnar. Listen, some people might not like the fact that Brock Lesnar is going to go back out there and wrestle Cody Rhodes again. I don't give a shit, man. I'm all in for it. I'll take a rubber match. Go ahead. Take my money. He goes on to say, what Reigns has accomplished between the ropes and has been accentuated by understanding of his character, its place in the bigger story that is rivaled by few. He does everything right. Everything. The entire Roman Reigns character is perfect. It's as perfect as you can get. Roman Reigns, you tell me this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we were booing the hell out of him. We were like, what the fuck is this? Roman Reigns is adored. He is worshipped. He is incredible. And the guy is going to be a mega successful Hollywood star. If it's not like the movies are going to be like anything of a Oscar awards, but that guy, he can be doing blockbuster movies in a couple of years. I believe it. I believe it. Roman Reigns is going to get called by Hollywood. I will continue to say that. Just wait for that. Once he gets the call from Hollywood, the belt will be dropped. Mark my words. The Bloodline saga is a family feud soap opera storyline. It really is. He says it. He said it, Eric Beeston. It is Dallas for wrestling fans. By the way, I am still running through the Dallas series. I'm now at season 12. And remember, that storyline, that soap opera, that was for guys too, okay? We have a lot of men in the storyline on Dallas. It was for men and women to watch. Husbands and wives were compelled. Remember, that show, Dallas, got 30 million viewers on a regular basis. 50 million and hundreds of millions of people watching to see who shot JR in 1980. And I go back to season 11's cliffhanger, and JR Ewing gets shot again. Come on. He just lost Ewing oil. He's trying to get it back. He's got to deal with Swann, who's become her own version of JR. Great storyline. But like I said, when you come back to from a break with the Bloodline and they're doing the trial of Roman Reigns and Michael Cole just sets it up and then just let him go. You just set it up. Let the Bloodline do it. Let the storyline progress. Because I'll tell you, when Roman Reigns dropped down to his knee with the wreath, frustrated, emotional, and dropping the belt on the floor, when I saw that, I can't remember. It was since the Attitude Era, I have never gotten into a storyline where I'm like, no, no, no. And I really thought they could have pulled that off. It was believable to me. Roman Reigns putting it all there, and then the low blow, like, shit. What great stuff. Because it's gold. It is soap opera. It's so soap opera, but it works. Everything they were done with Sami Zayn and the whole setup and Jey Uso's sympathy towards, after being so against Sami Zayn, and then the attachment and the bond they had. And they built it up for 9 months. And Jimmy and Jay now and their connection, and still a love for Roman Reigns. This shit is remarkable. This is as good as anything you're watching on Netflix right now. It could be one of the best storylines of anything that's dramatic that most people are not watching. But wrestling fans, let me tell you, you're being gifted gold right now, because we are. I think Eric Beeson's making a point. What we have right now with WWE is as good as it gets. You're never going to get the ratings as high as it was. We're not going to get 5-10 million people back on cable watching again. No. The fact they can get what they can get right now and hold on to it, that's good. They could have done better. Okay. They could have done better to retain the audience back in the day, but the erosion happened what it was. But that was going to happen anyway because of how things have changed, and people stream a lot of stuff more. Over 3 million fans tuned in on SmackDown on Friday night to watch Roman Reigns go on the tribal trial for his actions. Over 3 million people on Fox. And they never get 3 million people. 2.56 million viewers across the board. Remarkable. And the best part is the Bloodline storyline and all the stars right now that are stars, they're all relatively young. They're all in their 30s. There's a few more years to go with this. That's the other thing that actually has been done right. So the developmental sucks. I'm not happy with a lot of developmental. We got a couple of young stars that are really making their way. Rhea Ripley in the last couple of years. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, who have absolutely excelled in their spots in the women's roster. No doubt about it. And then you're still anchored along with some of the mainstays with Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair and Bayley. And you got all that right there. That's great. And Sky is working her way up there now. I think they're finally finding to get the right foot with her, because she should be. And there are some other stars within the mid card that are, they do really well. So they're doing something there. The mid card storylines are getting some time. They're not getting a whole lot of extra attention, but they're stories that are being told every week. They're progressing with it. Some things are just for TV. Some things are for pay-per-views. And that's okay. That's what the Attitude Era was as well. But for the most part, the big main event storylines are great. They're great. They're figuring it out, man. They got a good thing going right now. And what a great time for them. Because what can we do next besides the premium live events? Keep building the TV storylines. Keep trying to get other things around the TV storylines to keep building up. Because we can continue with this same crop of roster right now for a while. Because think about it. Like, what stars are needing to go ahead and take a back seat? Okay, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. They got a lot of years in the tank if they want to go. A lot of years. Now, what will happen here is the question. If any of these stars are going to go the route where Becky Lynch almost did go Hollywood, but, you know, she's kind of been grounded back once again, back on the main roster. But what about if Roman Reigns goes Hollywood? Seth Rollins is already getting a taste of Hollywood. He's been featuring in stuff right now. What happens? Drew McIntyre is in a movie right now with Batista and Ice Cube. What do we get next? Like, we're starting to see that part where some stars are going to wait. Miz will still go out and do movies, right? Like, what happens next? Will there be new reality shows coming up? Because with this Miz and Mrs. coming back, I don't know. But think about it. What else comes up that could really be a part of everything? Have we really worried about having any legends come back? Like, do we need to have Stone Cold come back to pop a rating? Or do we need, any of the legends come back? Not really. Let me tell you something. Do we need to worry about legends coming back or any kind of retro shows, any kind of things to pop a rating? No. The Attitude Era didn't have to worry about that either. Think about that. Now, I didn't expect to go into that rant right there, but you know what? This story right here had to give me some time to talk about it. So I went along, extra 10 minutes. There you go. We talk about it. We're going to leave it there. So I will be back this Saturday to talk about Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. As you all know, I love talking about Impact Wrestling. I always do post shows for it. And I will be doing one this weekend, Saturday night, right after Slammiversary. You will find it here. And I appreciate you looking to me as a place to go for these pay-per-views. So MLW doing pay-per-views, I'm going to be all in it for those. I don't know what I'm going to do for Ring of Honor. I'll figure it out for next week. But we got that. And then what other shows we got coming up too? I got to just go back and look real quick. So besides what we got the rest of the schedule, we still have to worry about Slammiversary this weekend. So I will do a post show for that right here at WrestlingIsReal.com. Then Death Before Dishonor is after that on the 21st of July. That's a Friday. And then we'll have, Summerslam August 5th. That's the next one after that. And then after that, we got All In London and All In Regular in Chicago. Let me go, wow, there's a lot of shit going on, man. Crazy. So we're going to figure out all that, man. That's a lot of stuff going on at one time. Let's talk about Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW. A couple things are going on right now. They are in TV negotiations right now as we speak. So here's what we learned so far. Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful Select, says that Warner Brothers Discovery sources have told them that AEW has been long involved, several months going on. An announcement could come this summer or the fall should they agree. Fightful has been told by Warner Brothers Discovery that they've been happy with AEW and their flexibility with adding, subtracting shows while providing different kinds of content and working around preemptions and network changes. Right. And the lack of interest in the Ring of Honor brand dates with Dwayne Sinclair on the production. AEW has still been flexible with overruns as well as other requests that Warner Brothers Discovery has made. And regarding All In next month in Wembley Stadium, All In London, the event's broadcasts have been actively discussed as part of these talks. And at the moment, they expect a huge money increase once this is signed and sealed. The other thing that's been talked about now that has been a discussion is Warner Brothers Discovery is asking for more pay-per-views. So at the moment, we already have 5 pay-per-views a year for AEW. And let's not count the Ring of Honor shows, which so far has been 3 a year, whether it's normally Death Before Dishonor and Final Battle, right? I don't think they've been doing more than that. We haven't had an anniversary show, and we don't have Best in the World. We haven't had those events. So we're going to have 6 pay-per-views this year, not counting Ring of Honor. So Sean Ross Sapp also mentions that one of the major proposals is from AEW with these events that they mentioned the very likely possibility of significantly expanding the pay-per-view schedule even to 1 a month. And this is something that Warner Brothers Discovery has wanted. Now, what I will say is this. If you're going to do this, let's make it Ring of Honor. Let's give Ring of Honor 4 more shows. Like, we're gonna make them have 4 shows. Keep AEW at 6. Let's not go farther than that. Let's keep some space in between. So therefore, I mean, the quarterly set right now is solid. Okay. The Forbidden Door already has a space where it is. Like, if you're going to do it, I guess we don't need to do anything after the holidays. Like, after Full Gear, I don't think they should have anything like that at all. That Full Gear to Revolution should be kept a time frame in between. I just don't think they should have it so close together. I don't think the AEW has to go that route. Now, they could do this, but I think if AEW did do it, then they would absolutely have to go ahead and split the lineup so that the pay-per-views would have to be different every time. They would have to rotate players that would go on and continue to have storylines that go on for 2 months before they get to actual matches. I think that's what you got to do. And there's no word as to whether these pay-per-views will be part of the standalone or part of the Max streaming service. We don't know yet. So I don't know, man. It's like they can't charge $59.99 or $49.99 for it anymore, if that's the case. If we get this and we get to 12 pay-per-views, if that's actually going to happen, then for the AEW crowd, Warner Brothers Discovery is going to have to drop the price. They're going to have to drop the price, include it in the subscription, because I don't think they can charge for pay-per-views. But I think the part of the thing that they have to do, most importantly, is they can't go the route of what the WWE did, especially with pay-per-view, to where you need to keep the price value up while maintaining the quality of the pay-per-views. This is what, I mean, look, Turner did this to Eric Bischoff. It's obvious. More revenue. Eric Bischoff is right in this respect. Tony Khan, I hope, he'll give in somewhat, but he doesn't need to give out that much. And sure, you really can't do Ring of Honor as you want as 4 pay-per-views because they don't have enough content, or they don't have a platform to do it. Now, what can you do? So if you had 6 shows, you could keep 6 shows. Maybe 8. But I think they got to have room what they're normally doing. Now, what they can do is some of these shows they have that are already existing as standalone shows during the normal year, whether it's, Beach Blast or Blood and Guts or, the Arthur Ashe shows, Grand Slam. Maybe those become pay-per-views. They're already existing as big shows anyway. So if you make them pay-per-views, they're already made as big events anyway, then make those what happens. Okay. But we don't need to go farther than that. I think you can go to that point, but I don't see where they're going to get enough of a crowd for them to go ahead and pull off that many pay-per-views like that. And the other thing too is that I also don't want to see them taking pay-per-views that are just going to be put together and just be formulaic. I don't think they need to do that either. It doesn't have to be like that. Now, if you do it, the other thing too is that WWE struggles. I mean, they do a really good job now on making this the pay-per-views important. WWE has done a very good job of doing that. They're building up matches. They're giving us good pay-per-views. But what's also helping is that they're also doing these big spectacles where they're putting them in bigger stadiums. Like Money in the Bank has been extended to be a much bigger pay-per-view than ever before. You get Clash of the Castle, the Saudi Arabia shows. You're getting big crowds for that. And it's just a different spectacle that just comes out there. But to book those matches, to book those shows, sure, you got people for it. I don't want co-branded pay-per-views. I don't want Collision pay-per-views and Dynamite pay-per-views. I don't want any of that shit. So I hope there's a pushback on that. If there's more pay-per-views, drop Battle of the Belts. And maybe there's something else they could do to put together. I don't know what that could be. If they're going to do pay-per-views, maybe we just do some more co-branded. We do some super shows, right? Ring of Honor and AEW. Another Ring of Honor, as we another AEW New Japan show. I don't know what else you do, but like something can be done there to set that up. But like you can do things to put it together, but it's like, I don't know what to think about it. I don't like the idea or the threat of more pay-per-views like that. AEW needs to try to keep some kind of their identity as such. They just can't be a parallel of the same model that WWE does. It doesn't work. We've been here before. I remember watching the standard of pay-per-views, having to watch a dozen pay-per-views on both brands. Let me tell you, WCW could not pull off constantly the type of match card that was needed for pay-per-view. I don't expect Tony Khan to do the same. He's going to try, but man, that's going to be exhaustive. And to rush storylines just to get to the point, that's another thing I don't want to see. I don't want to see loads of matches with stipulations. I don't want to see all the titles defended every month like that. I've liked a lot of the times where we get matches that are built up. Every time MJF has a title defense, if it's CM Punk, if it's whatever, Jericho and Orange Cassidy, or Jericho and, Adam Cole, like all those kind of things that they built up, the progression, the time they took to get to the point, then you're finally ready for the match. But to go ahead and hurry all this up and go a month, this is a broken record. We know how this works. Tony Khan, I hope and implore that you do not do the same mistake that WCW did. Do not cave into Warner Brothers Discovery with this part. Flexibility for everything else is fine. But the pay-per-view model here, if you're going to do it, there's got to be a way to distinguish it. So it's not just the high-quality AEW pay-per-views across the board 12 times a year or 10 times a year. 6 is understood. And remember, if you're doing a couple more pay-per-views with Ring of Honor or some other shows like another Forbidden Door, then do that. But keep the nucleus of the big 4 pay-per-views they already have. Revolution, Double or Nothing, All In, Full Gear, keep those intact. And if you got to add some other things up, fine. Like this year, Forbidden Door, a second year, and All In London, another year. If they can get another stadium show, yeah, you keep doing that. Sure. It's a big ask. Because right now, the company still needs to try to get things worked out, to get some stars going, to really get something going. They need a big storyline. AEW needs their own Bloodline storyline. They need something of the caliber that's going to really bring people back every week that can also stretch across both brands. Don Callis family. The Don Callis family is one answer to that. Because everything else, Elite stays to Dynamite. CM Punk and FTR and all that goes over to Collision. Miro, Andrade, House of Black, right? All that's over there. Bullet Club Gold, Elite, Blackpool Combat Club, JAS, all on Dynamite. But if you have families that go across the board, that's one thing you can have. But I'll tell you, Don Callis family can disrupt a whole lot of things. We need them to be strong. They need some bigger names to be picked up. If Jericho gets recruited and successfully goes to Don Callis, they're setting that up. Because right now, Jake Hager already not currying favor with Jericho and now dropping out of Jericho Appreciation Society. Something's there. Sammy Guevara already at outs. I think they're going to build a little more dissension among the JAS, which is going to lead to Jericho going to Don Callis. They set that up last week. They're going to go there. And Jericho becomes part. He's no longer the focal point. He's just the big star there of Callis's family. But I think that's where they're going to go with it. And they should do that. They should do that. And Don Callis is going to have his onus against the Elite. And maybe the Callis family, or there's something else you could do on Collision that could be the same way. But they need to have something here that's just a dominant faction that goes in. Bloodline, Judgment Day, same idea. Because at the moment, the Bloodline has been focused on both brands, but right now they're split. Judgment Day is the focal point on Raw. And the Bloodline is the focal point on SmackDown. They're making that pretty distinguished and very clear. Very clear right now. With secondary storylines going across the board. Secondary being with Seth Rollins and Gunther, right? Secondary on SmackDown with Austin Theory or with Oscar or, whatever. They're doing all of that. But AEW needs to get something where it's creating some buzz and they're going to get the same kind of level of really compelling storylines. They're having fun storylines. Look at Adam Cole and MJF is a fun storyline. You know, they always like to do a little buddy with MJF, kind of tying up with somebody, being a buddy up with somebody. They did with like Sammy Guevara leading up to the Four Pillars match. Because MJF and the modus operandi for him always has to be, before he gets to a match, he kind of gets, you know, it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So MJF plays by the cliche of your friend's close, your enemy's closer. We're getting that every time. He does it all the time right here, right? That's his shtick. That is his deal. And he's the chicken shit heel and all that's going on. And they're playing that across. And by the way, people are getting into the whole idea of better than you, baby. It works. So you put them together, you create this, you get this here for the double eliminator tournament. They're not going to win the tag titles, or maybe they will, but I don't think they will. You set that up here, great. But we have to wait now and see what happens with who's going to win between FTR and Bullet Club Gold and that whole setup, which is going to suck, man. I'm going to have to cover Slammiversary and watch that 2 out of 3 Thralls match that night. I don't know how I'm going to do it, man. That's another split screen. Like, I can't just watch a pay-per-view on its own. I just can't. I have to watch everything split screen. I had to watch Collision and Never Say Never split screen this weekend. It's not easy. Now I got to get it over here. I got to do Slammiversary and Collision back to back. And the next week, no, actually, Death Before Dishonor and SmackDown together. I don't know what I'm going to do for Ring of Honor because that week is going to be tough. Next weekend, I got Barbie and Oppenheimer to watch at the theater. Oppenheimer on Friday, Barbie on Saturday. I already got it set up. Like I made the plans. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but we'll figure it out. We're going to take the last 10 minutes here of the program to go ahead and talk about Slammiversary. This weekend, it's a Saturday. Thank you for putting on a Saturday. That's great. 8 o'clock start. Windsor, Ontario, Canada, St. Clair College. Always a great crowd for that. And most likely, if yes, they're going to probably do tapings the next night. So we'll have shows from there. That's good. Stack card. Very stacked card going on. Let's start from the bottom. Death Dolls, Courtney Rush, Jessica and Jody Threat versus Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans, and Jay Vidal. So I haven't really watched much of what's going on here in the setup for that, but like, whatever. Okay, fine. I'm going to say, you know what? That's a tough one. But I'm going to pick, and by the way, so Death Dolls, this is a 4-on-2, by the way. Oh, no, sorry, it's a 3-on-3. Yeah. I'm going to say Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans, and Jay Vidal win that match. Frankie Kazarian will be accompanied by his wife, Miss Brooks. Remember her, Miss Brooks, with Bobby Roode or Robert Roode? Tracy Brooks has not been around. Or she's also been Knockout Law. Remember when she was that? Remember all this stuff. So here you go. Frankie Kazarian against Eddie Edwards. One more match, and the wives are now involved. Great. Alicia's out there. That's good setup. That's fine. And I will take Eddie Edwards for the win. Joe Henry defending the Digital Media Championship against Kenny King, and I'll take Joe Henry on that. Jonathan Gresham, Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, Alan Angels, Kushida. Wow. Ultimate X match. That's a hard one to pick right there, but I will take Mike Bailey to win Ultimate X. Another match they set up is Scott D'Amore is going to come back out into the ring. They have not determined who is, I guess they're supposed to be finding out on Impact tonight, on Thursday night. So we don't know who his partner is going to be that'll be taking on Bully Ray and Diener of all. So Bully Ray they put into this here because he no longer has a Steve Macklin opponent because Steve Macklin is not able to wrestle. He's hurt. So you got that. The Coven, Colin King and Taylor Wilde against Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly for the Knockouts World Tag Team titles. I'm going to take Slamovich and Kelly after their whole deal with the dog collar match, with all the running around they've been doing. They're finally together. Like this is the bar all over again. This is Sheamus and Cesaro. This is what they're doing. The people that hate each other. It's what I mean. It's like Chris Candido and Was it Shane Douglas? I forget who Chris Candido was also. Oh no, Lance Storm and Chris Candido. That's right. I remember that. So they're doing the same thing. Two people don't like each other, pairing them together. Somehow they're going to get chemistry. So yeah, Masha and Killer, I take them to win the Knockouts Tag Team titles. World Tag Team titles, ABC, Subculture, Brian Myers and Moose, Sami Callihan, Rich Swann, and I think ABC continues to stay strong. I don't think they drop those belts at all. Very interesting X Division title match. Leo Rush is back in the company now. Has he been in the company? I don't think I've seen him. I don't think I remember ever seeing Leo Rush in Impact. MLW, yes. The WWE, yes. But yeah, Chris Sabin and Leo Rush for the X Division title. I'm going to take Leo Rush. I think we get a title change right there as well right there. So far I say that Masha and Killer will win wins World Tag Team titles. And I think we'll get a new X Division champion in Leo Rush. And as for the Impact World Championship, I will take Nick Aldis, the National Treasure, to beat Alex Shelley in a hell of a barn burner of a match. I don't know if Alex Shelley holds on to the belt. I think he's a transitional champion. I do think he is. And yes, I guess the way they're putting it here on Fightful, the way they're putting up the card, I guess you're probably right. The Knockouts World title will probably be your main event. Deonna Purrazzo against Trinity. Oh man. Trinity now going up against the belt. They were kind of setting this up for a long time. I think Trinity comes out as Knockouts World Champion. I do see that happening. And that's understood. I don't have a problem seeing that being there. If that's the decision they decide to go with, that's okay to me. I don't mind that at all. If that's the plan. That's okay. And actually, there's something I got to go look at right now. I just realized Triple Mania is coming up. Triple Mania 31, August 12th. Oh boy. Look at that. Rush is going to team with LA Park. I'm going to watch this pay-per-view, and I have to watch this. So they're doing 3 events, but the next one is coming up August 12th. So maybe I got to do something with that. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to probably have to watch Triple Mania. They already have LA Park. So let me see. Rouge partnering with LA Park against Sam Adonis and Psycho Clown in the Guerra de Rivalidades tourney finals. So we got that coming up. Great. And that'll be on Fight TV, by the way. So I want to see what the rest of the card is going to be. Let me look, see if I can find out about that. Here we go. Triple Mania 31. Let me look here. So August 12th, so far we have also a mask versus hair match between the losers of the Guerra de Rivalidades match. And the tournament of the Guerra de Rivalidades included in the first round, Pentagon Jr. and Alberto Del Patron. Man, I missed that. Psycho Clown and Sam Adonis, Rochelle Toro Blanco and LA Park, Blue Demon Jr. and DMT Azul. And so now we're at this point where the finals are Triple Mania, and that's the matches we already have set up. And that's going to be great. That's all set up for right now. So we're going to go and look for all that coming up. That's it for tonight. Thank you for listening as you always do. I appreciate all of you. Remember, come back next week for another... Oh, actually, no. This Saturday. Come back. Enjoy Slammiversary. Come back for another Wrestling Gazelle podcast because wrestling needs us.